illnesses, realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one that you had envisioned for yourself, but the time is going to pass regardless. And I spent a lot of years being really depressed and bitter and angry about all of this, but it didn't change anything. So you got to figure it out. So, I'll tell you what, my life is a hell of a lot happier now than it was when I was just living in the bitterness and the resentment. But this stuff is hard to deal with, and I don't know why today was unusually difficult. I did have a rough night last night. I only got about 4 hours of sleep. Pain kept me awake. And then I had to go see my doctor this morning. I shouldn't say it that way. I hate my clinic, but I really love my doctor. I wish she'd leave. But anyway, um, there's a war. There's the opioid crisis. This has created a war against the chronic pain sufferer. And I got up at 2:30 this morning to take my last half of a tramadol. I very rarely take more than a half at a time, so I just don't want to. I don't want to spend my day strung out on drugs. But I need a little help sometime, and I get so frustrated with the clinic and how hard it is. And so I had to take my last pill, and I knew I was going in for really painful therapy today. And I'm like, man, what if they won't give me a refill? What the hell am I going to do? So I've been very caught up in the emotional impact of all of this since about 2 o'clock this morning. So let's talk about it. Most of this information, honestly, is just from my own experience. But I did look up some stats on psychology today, and they estimate that 100 million Americans deal with chronic pain. That's about a third of our population. It's almost a third. That's pretty intense. Now, there's no hard data as to suicide rates for chronic pain sufferers, but we are believed, I did not word that well. We are believed to commit suicide at twice the rate of healthy people, normal people. I don't know what the hell you want to call it. But what most people don't get from the outside is the physical impact of this is, I mean, it's brutal and it can be very hard to deal with, but it's the emotional impact that I know I wasn't prepared for, and I don't think most people are. A good day, the ubiquitous they, I don't know how they measure this stuff, but they say that a good day for someone like me, it would be like you having the flu body aches. Well, how productive were you the last time you had the flu? But that's how that's my life. Now, we do get used to a certain level of pain. And you can easily push that back and, all right, set that aside. I got things to do. Ain't nobody got time for this mess. But the problem is we live we live on the edge. We really do. Our whole life is a balancing act of, well, if I do this chore, it's going to make me flare. If I go out with my friends, it's going to make me flare. If if I had a rough night and I get up and try to make a nice dinner, it could make me flare. Everything is just this weird balancing act. And flare, if you've never had a migraine, this is not going to be very helpful, but the best way I've ever heard a fibromyalgia flare described is a full body migraine. Um, if you haven't had a migraine, when I'm flaring, I know this sounds crazy, but I get, of course, light and smell sensitive. That's not unusual. But I'll get to where, like, one day I pulled on, the reason I wear leggings, if you follow me on Twitter, the queen of leggings, somebody dubbed me, and I loved it. So I adopted it. But sometimes I'll put on leggings and the seams are just absolutely excruciating against my skin. They're leggings. I literally cannot come up with anything more comfortable to wear. But there are days when they hurt so bad, or like, oh my goodness, bras. I said something to my doctor a few years ago about how much I hate bras, and she said every single fibromyalgia patient I have feels the same way. They're just, if I'm not feeling bad, it doesn't bother me very much. But if I'm flaring like today, it's a freaking torture device. And as soon as I'm done with this video, this damn thing is coming off. My clothes hurt. The pressure of the sheets can be really uncomfortable. And I know this sounds really crazy, but it gets to where like all my nerves are on end, so it's like my hair hurts. What I mean by that, like if I turn my head, sometimes, thank God not today, because it's just really a weird feeling, but I can like feel all the hair moving along my scalp. And it's not painful, it's just weird and it's kind of unsettling. And it's annoying because you're already dealing everything else already hurts. And if you're dealing with this, you know what? You're entitled to be pissed off. You're entitled to grieve. You have a lot to grieve about. Your life has just changed so drastically. But you know what? You can't live there. It doesn't serve your purpose at all. You need to be really, and this is actually this is one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about this topic tonight. You need to be aware that what you put, I've really been thinking about this the last couple of days. It's come up in a couple of the things that I'm reading. I mean, like yesterday, it was a pretty low pain day. It was it wasn't super low pain, but it was moderate. It was pretty easy for me to set it aside. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I'm not focused on it. I feel a lot better. Well, then last night, it literally just knocked me right on my ass out of nowhere. It just bam, really intense pain. I know why I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I couldn't not focus on it. I mean, for goodness sakes, for me to get up and go in the other room to take medication is it's got to be intense. I don't like taking medication. I don't want to rely on it, but sometimes I just need a little help. And 4 hours of sleep and up at 2 o'clock this morning. Yeah, I needed a little help. But I got to try to figure out how to get around that. It's literally just getting control of my thoughts. And I know that on a logical level. But man, when you're laying there in the dark, it's the middle of the night, and you're just in agony. And there's not a whole hell of a lot. The pain meds knock the edge off, but they don't make it go away. It's hard not to get in your head. It's hard not to get anxious and stressed, which just makes the pain worse, which just makes the anxiety and the stress worse. But better now. You probably know I am generally pretty good at setting this aside. I'm pretty good about not letting it control my life. Like this morning, I hurt like hell, and the last thing I wanted to do this morning was lift weights, because that's not something. I don't want to say I don't enjoy it, because that's such a negative thing to put on it, but it's not my favorite. And I get really frustrated with it because I just like to push through everything. Well, I can't with weights. I have so many weird issues with my body. I have to go really slow, which that's all right. But I know I can't, I'm not going to build like most people. And what usually happens to me lifting weights, I go through spurts with this, because my doctors have all told me, my whole medical team down to my massage therapist, you need to lift weights. So I'm like, crap. So I started it up again. But what happens, it's just so stupid to say it out loud. It really is. But I get so frustrated that I can't lift as heavy as I think I should be able to, because I have a lot of muscle. I want to be able to lift heavier. I have a lot of fascia problems too, and it makes it difficult. Fascia, I'm not going to go into a big thing, but one thing that fascia does for us is it allows our muscles to glide over each other. Well, and when your fascia is a mess, it literally gets like sticky. So your muscles aren't gliding. Well, how fun do you think it is to lift weights, or did you really do much exercise at all, when your body is, it's like, when you were a kid and you'd play with glue and you'd get it all tacky and you'd kind of pull it apart and you get the little threads. That's what my muscles feel like when they don't slide across each other. But I have to lift. So this morning I had all these reasons why hey, I've got great excuse 1 through 10 of why I shouldn't lift this morning. But you know what? I did it anyway. I did it anyway because it's important to me. I did it anyway because, for me, that's one of the positive things I need to do for myself. But you need to find some positive influences. You need to find some positive influences. I used to be a very negative person. And you know what? When I was a really negative person, guess what all my friends were like? They were negative because happy people don't want to hang out with miserable people. Nobody likes to be downer. So you need to find other sources. Get books. You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. Good grief. Jen Sincero. It's one of my favorite books. Life's Golden Ticket by Brendan Burchard. It's such a nice, light way to get into this kind of stuff. 15 Irrefutable Laws of Growth is an amazing book. I'm getting so much out of that. The emotionally intense book, but solved emotional trauma, which in my case is part of what's driving my health issues. That book is invaluable. One Shot, One Life is a really good book. The Bible is a great book. You can go to podcasts. Chalene Johnson does a great podcast. Brendan Burchard does a great podcast. There's a lot. I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts because they tend to be longer than I want to be invested. But YouTube has some great channels. One of my favorites lately is called Above Inspiration. It's a Christian channel, and they put out great little motivational videos, and I try to listen up, and it puts me in a positive state of mind for the day. Stephanie Lynn Coaching has a great YouTube channel. Psych to Go. Trent Shelton is one of my favorites. But those are just people I like. You might not like any of those, and that's okay. Find somebody that resonates with you, but find somebody that lifts you up. When you're dealing with health issues, you're up to here with your own negativity. It's so hard to keep that under control and at bay. And I really get that. And I'm telling you, taking just 10, 15 minutes a day to put yourself into something positive, it's going to make a big difference. And you'll be surprised at how quickly it adds up. You're going to have to develop healthy habits. Damn it. I know. And you know what? The biggest thing I recommend, honestly, and I've been dealing with this stuff for a long time. I went from taking 9 different medications a day to try to manage the fibromyalgia, and that's back when I just had fibromyalgia. Now I have hormones that I have to take, but I only take pain meds as needed, and I take a really super mild one. In fact, when I told my pharmacy that my clinic gives me grief, she's like, seriously, over tramadol? Yes. But anyway, you got to move. And I know, you guys, it was, but then it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that I remember one time talking to a quarter of a mile. And my response was, why the hell would anybody do that? I love to go for walks. Yoga is really good if you have health issues. You know what else? Tai Chi. Yoga and Tai Chi are really good because they're going to help you with quieting your mind too. Of course, you can do a walking meditation and quiet your mind while you're walking, but you know what? You got to move. You're going to have a tremendous amount of physical and emotional benefits from exercise. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to talk a lot of women with fibromyalgia into exercising, but the ones that I have, every single one has come back to me like, oh my God, you were right. I know, because I've been there. I'm not sitting here blowing smoke up your ass and talking to you about stuff that I've dealt with. You may as well learn from me instead of trying to forge through this crap on your own, because it's so hard to manage. You really should start meditating. You've got to learn to quiet your mind. It's the only way, in my experience. Meditation and prayer are the 2 best things that you can use to come to terms with all of this. But there's mantra meditations, there's guided meditations, there's breath work, there's walking meditations. Get on YouTube or whatever video hosting site you like and just look around. Find something that resonates with you, because I'll be honest, with meditation, it took me a while. Dabbled, and a lot of it was just too, and I don't mean this at all offensively, it was just too woo-woo for me. Like, you imagine you're in this bright red crystal palace and everything is bright red. And it's like, no, because first of all, that sounds horrific. It's not relaxing to me, but I didn't like that kind of stuff. But I have found other things that do work really well for me. You should keep a journal. I should keep a journal. You know what? My journal is on my bookshelf back there, and I need to take it back into my bedroom because I personally like to journal at night because it allows me to get all the stress of the day off my chest. It's a really healthy way to deal with your negative emotions. And you know what else is a really good way to help you deal with negative emotions? Look, you're going to have negative emotions. Actually, let me restate that. You're going to have uncomfortable emotions because emotions, they do serve a purpose. There's a message there. Anyway, you should write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for. Keep a gratitude journal. And, for a while a few years ago, like, I have to do this. And for a while, every night it was like, I was in a bad place emotionally. And every night it was, I have a roof over my head, I have electricity, and I have running water. And that might sound kind of simplistic, but you know what? Truly, those 3 things, they put you ahead of so many people. And those are things we take really for granted in the Western world. And hell, there's people in our own country who don't have that. So you should be grateful. You need to celebrate your wins. If you feel like absolute hell, but you got up, you got dressed, you brushed your teeth, and you made it to the couch, you know what? Even if that's all you did, if you feel really, you need to celebrate. When you at night, instead of sitting there going, oh crap, I didn't do this and I didn't that, and everything's stacking up because it's what we do to ourselves. 10 emotional step back and go, okay, but you know what? All I wanted to do was crawl under the bed and just wait for the earth to swallow me up. But I got up and I changed my clothes and I brushed my teeth. I know it sounds simplistic, but if you will start focusing on those small wins, they're going to make a difference in how you feel about yourself. It's going to make a difference in how you can deal with your health issues. It's one for me. And this is just my thing. I'm not at all suggesting this to you, but getting up and putting my face on. I was going to say dressing nicely. If I leave the house, I try to dress nicely. I'll be honest, around the house, I get out of the pajamas that I slept in and I put on clean pajamas. I call them my day pajamas. And the day pajamas, not any specific pairs, just whatever I grab to wear that day are my day pajamas. But if I'm going anywhere, I dress nice, even when I feel like crap, especially when I feel like crap. Why? Because it makes me feel better. It's a thing. Yeah, it's probably a little vanity. I'll own that. But you know what else it is? It's a sense of normalcy. It's something I can cling to that doesn't make me feel so different. Because sometimes I just feel like a freak with all this crazy stuff that goes on with my health. I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to let that stuff get to you. But you know what? That brings me to my next point. If you're dealing with health issues, you got to learn to let shit go. I'm not very good at that. I'll just be really honest. I am not very good at that. But you can't beat yourself up over the things that you can no longer do. What's the point? It's not going to make you magically able to do them. All it's going to do, it's going to add to your stress. It's going to add to your anxiety, which is going to add to your pain. You need to understand that even healthy people can't have it all. That's one of the biggest lines of BS that we've ever been sold. Well, you can have it all. No, you can't. Nobody can. Life is about issues. Your trade-offs become a little more pointed on certain areas. There's just some things you have to accept. You know what else you need to really let go of? Negative people. Bye, Felicia. If someone doesn't lift you up, if you're dealing with health issues and you're struggling, why on earth do you have anybody around you who doesn't lift you up? Now, I realize with family, it can be a lot more complicated. But if it's just a so-called friend, if it's someone that you consider a friend and they don't lift you up, here's a hint: they're an acquaintance. Why are you wasting your time with them? Gently ease them out of your life. You don't need to be a jerk about it. Now, if it's family, it's a lot harder. You're going to have to learn how to set boundaries. And no, it's not going to be easy. And no, you're not going to want to do it. Because, like, lady, I feel like crap. I don't want to do this. I know. But here's the thing. If you don't set and enforce your own boundaries, you can't expect other people to respect you. They're not going to. They're gonna just keep running over you. You've gotta make a stand for yourself. Don't give your power away. Don't give a damn who it is. Don't give your power away to anybody. Remember, you've got to be kind to yourself. You know what else? You got to be kind to others, even when they don't really deserve it. Honestly, when they don't deserve it, it's probably when they need it the most, which I know that's really hard because I don't always want to be nice to people that don't deserve it, but it's the truth. Look, hurt people don't run around acting like complete stains and trying to destroy everybody around them. Healthy, loving people, they're not running around trying to make you feel terrible because of your health issues. Y'all would be amazed at the crap people have said to me over the years. But getting pissed off at them for being ignorant, what does that serve? Nothing. I just cut them all out of my life. Bye, bitch. Excuse my language, but that's my attitude on people like that. But you have to be kind to yourself because if you're dealing with this, there's going to be days when you're the only one that's going to be kind to you. Everyone else is going to be irritated and annoyed because you're flaring for the umpteenth day in a row and you don't want to do anything and you're behind on everything. And people do get annoyed. And, I can understand that to a degree. But you got to be kind to yourself. You've got to remember, even on the darkest days, it's going to pass. This too shall pass. Tomorrow really is another day. And you know what? If tomorrow's not better, there's always the next day. And that's how I view it the majority of the time. I'm not perfect. I'm not a Pollyanna. But the majority of the time, that's how I view my situation. Tomorrow will be better. If not tomorrow, then hopefully the next day will be better. You need to remember this one. I think this is the hardest thing to do, at least for me. You've got to remember you're not your illness. You are so much more. Your diagnosis is a big part of your life, certainly. But you can't let it become your life. You can't let it become your identity. And it's kind of scary because I've realized I've been dealing with this for so long now. It kind of has become, it's not my whole identity, but it's a much larger part of my identity than I'm comfortable with. But then I've got to balance because it's very important to me to be an advocate, to be going to say, yeah, you know what, this sucks, but here's some things you can do to help make it. Because when I was diagnosed, I couldn't find somebody like that. Everybody that I found to turn to was really negative. And I don't need that. I was already down enough. I didn't need an external force making things worse. But it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there with this stuff. It's hard to, I want to inform. I don't want to be a whiner. Be perceived as a whiner because occasionally I feel sorry for myself. I'm only human, but really I'm a pretty lucky person. I have a pretty damn good life because I choose to. Because I know that if I don't make the choice, if I don't strive to be happy, this shit will consume me. I don't want this to be my whole life. It's taken enough from me already. Anyway, I am exhausted. I had like 4 hours of sleep. I had really painful therapy this morning, but I still lifted today, even though I really didn't want to. So, I hope you'll have a great weekend. I have no idea what else I was about to say, but I will be back Monday at 5 o'clock.